Hi, I'm Jasmine, creator of the Curious White Coat. For this video in my pre-medicine student series, I wanted to take it back to about 4 years ago when I was applying for medical school so that I can show you how the process works. I did not realize just how many people in medical school already have sisters, cousins, brothers, mothers who are already physicians, and they kind of have like a behind-the-scenes knowledge on how the process is supposed to work. If you're someone who is maybe the first person in your family to become a doctor, like I was, or if you just don't know how the process works, this is going to be my Christmas gift to you. We're going to go through the application process step by step, and we've got a lot to cover, so let's dive in. Let's start with some commonly heard terms that you might encounter during the application process. So typically, to practice medicine in the United States, there are going to be 4 paths that people kind of go down. There's the MD path, the DO path, US IMG, and the non-US IMG path. So MD stands for Doctor of Medicine degree. That's the path that I'm going down right now. You also have the Doctor of Osteopathic Medicine, which is DO, and some examples of schools would be LECOM, which is the Lake Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine, and PCOM, which is the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine. For IMGs, this actually stands for International Medical Graduate. For IMGs, there are going to be US IMGs and non-US IMGs. So, international medical graduates are people who receive their degrees at medical schools outside of the United States. A non-US IMG is a person who does not have US citizenship and will require a visa. US IMG students still obtain their medical degree outside of the United States, but they do have US citizenship. If you go down the IMG path, you do have to be aware that some states within the United States are not going to recognize certain international medical schools. So you do have to be aware of that if you want to apply there and practice in that state in the future. So there's MD, DO, IMG, no matter what initials you have behind your name, it's all a physician. These are the doctors that you see in the hospital, in clinic, maybe your pediatrician growing up. One is not better than the other. So now let's talk about the things that you will need before you apply to medical school. At most institutions, you will need the following: a 4-year bachelor's degree. You'll need to know your overall GPA and science GPA. You'll need to have your school transcripts, which are grades and proof that you even went there. You'll need to have completed certain required courses, and these can vary by the school that you apply to. It's not just typical pre-medicine type of classes that you think of, like biology, organic chemistry, and physics. Some schools will require college-level English classes or math courses, and they might even recommend courses like a foreign language or other types of humanities classes. You'll also need to have passed the Medical College Admissions Test, aka the MCAT. Make sure that you have letters of recommendation, and the numbers of these will vary. Typically it's around 3, and these are going to be from your professors, maybe research people that you've worked with, or doctors that you've shadowed. You'll need to have completed shadowing or observerships with practicing physicians, and you'll need to have completed a personal statement. This is not an exhaustive list. Many places may look favorably at students who have more time volunteering or work experience. Some places are looking for people who have dedicated research time in their application or have leadership positions. So you want to make sure that you research the schools that you're applying to so that you can be prepared when it comes time to actually apply. So you'll want to research all of the programs that you're going to apply to. Make a list of those medical schools and the requirements that they want. So this means getting an idea of their test score cutoffs, looking at how many letters of recommendation you're going to need, what mandatory pre-med classes do they require. And you may not know this, but Most medical schools have websites that tell you exactly what their program is about, kind of advertising themselves to the public. And they also have pages dedicated to the application process. So it'll probably be called something like how to apply. And they also have coordinators with contact information on those websites that you can reach out to, through email or phone call. So that way you can get all of your questions answered, and they'll have all of the information available to you as far as deadlines so that you can make sure you're not missing anything. You will need to apply to medical school in the summer of the year before you plan to actually start medical school. So for an example, I'll use myself. I applied to medical school in the summer of 2017 so that I could be enrolled, seated in the lecture hall, ready to, start my time as a med student in fall of 2018. So if you are planning to start medical school in the fall of 2023, then you need to apply in the summer of 2022. Same thing, if you're going to apply in the summer of 2023, that means that you're going to be entering medical school in the fall of 2024. If you're an undergrad right now, you can actually talk to your pre-medicine director or the Office of Pre-Medicine so that you can get more information on how the process works so that you can apply in a way that's correct for you. Now that we've got the background out of the way, it's time to apply. You're going to select which online application services you're going to be using, and you can use more than one. For most MD institutions, there's going to be the AMCAS, and the DO institutions will use ACOMAS. Remember, not every institution is going to use these application services, so make sure you know which schools use what. There's going to be an open date for all of the application services. And this open date is when the service goes live and everyone is able to log in and start filling out that application. You will need to have an account, so if you don't already have an account with that application service, make sure that you create one. The application service is going to generate a single general application that will go to all of the institutions, and you'll need to select which medical schools you want your application to go to. There's going to be different organized sections that you'll fill in your information on. So there's going to be sections for your demographic information, contact info, a place to upload your CV. You'll also have to put in your test scores and all of those other materials that I previously listed. So make sure that you have access to your school transcripts, because you're going to have to log in every course that you've ever taken that was from an undergraduate level onward. So if you had any post-grad education, if you've maybe been to medical school before, if you have any AP classes or college level courses like dual enrollment that you took in high school, you'll have to list those, as well as listing out every undergraduate institution that you've ever applied to, that you've ever attended, even if you went there for one degree and you transferred halfway through. Each application service is going to have a general submission date. This is when the feature goes live that everyone can use to submit their completed applications. Next, your application will go through a verification process. This is where their system will check all of the test scores that you sent in. They make sure that all of the classes that you uploaded and said that you took are true, and they just make sure that your application is correct. This process can take several weeks. For the AMCAS, if you're doing the verification process with them, then you end up going through that process and then they send your application back to you. Once they've sent that back to you, you want to check and make sure that everything that is correct. If they made any changes, you want to make sure that those are correct. And then you're going to select the button that's called Resubmit Application. Once you select that, then your application will go off to the individual medical schools that you applied to. With ACOMAS, the verification process takes about 2 weeks on average. So they'll verify your application and then send it off or transmit it to the individual schools, and those schools will also verify your materials. For both the AMCAS and the ACOMAS, and really for any online service that you use, you'll want to make sure that you're monitoring all of the deadlines and all of the communications from the individual schools that you applied to. Next, med schools are going to send out supplemental essays for you to complete. There will be deadlines to these essays, but make sure that you don't wait for the deadlines. You'll want to get those essays churned out within a couple of days, like 1 to 2 days if you can send it back. Do keep in mind that just because you received a supplemental essay, this does not mean that you've been like guaranteed an acceptance or that they are saying that they're going to invite you to interview. It's kind of like another level of the application process, similar to when you had to do like secondary applications when you were applying to college. There are going to be fees associated with the application process, whether you use an online service or the number of applications that you even send out, there's going to be fees associated with that. The AAMC actually reported that for the 2021 to 2022 cycle, applicants applied to about 18 different programs on average. So just be aware of the costs that come with that and plan ahead. There are going to be certain circumstances or situations where you will be eligible for a fee waiver. Make sure that you download a complete and verified copy of your application. Some people will say that you want to bring this with you on interviews, just in case an interviewer doesn't have a copy of your application in front of them and would like one. I personally brought it with me on interviews so that I could kind of review it for my reference when I was feeling really nervous before an interview. And I still do that now for residency applications, residency interviews. I'll bring a copy of my ARIS application, my personal statement, and a list of questions for my interviewers as well. Make sure that you give yourself ample time because there is a lot of waiting involved in this process. You're going to be waiting to have your application verified for several weeks. You'll be waiting to hear back from different schools, and they may give you different statuses that you have to wait even more for to hear if you've been accepted or not. There's also going to be periods of maybe scheduled maintenance that these online application services can undergo, and a lot of them take off for national holidays. Give yourself a nice buffer, that way you have time just in case anything goes wrong. Just some words of advice. Do not wait for the application service deadline before you submit your application. And I say this for 2 reasons. One, each individual medical school is going to have its own deadline. So school A might be due on October 15th and school B may be due on December 1st or January 1st. So you can't go by the application service deadline because everyone is going to be different. Another thing is that all of these schools are going to be sending out their interview invitations probably by like early fall. So if you wait until it's like the week before the deadline, they will have already been interviewing potential applicants and sending out acceptances and starting to fill up the positions for people who can attend in that first year class. So if you wait until the last minute, they might have already filled up all of their spots and students might have already accepted, and then there won't be any room for you. So have your application ready, complete, have it ready to go as soon as that submission day comes so you can just submit your application and send it off. I cannot stress that enough. Please prioritize your application. There's going to be a lot of waiting going on over several months, and there's going to be a lot of things going on in life over those several months, but please don't let this application fall behind because there is so much writing on it. And while we are, waiting as we go through the application process, the application cycle will not wait for us. So just make sure that you give this the importance that it needs. Remember that medical school is an investment. Try to save up for this application process. There are a lot of fees associated. See what fees that you're eligible for waiving and try to budget so that you can apply to as many places as possible. My last piece of advice is that this is not an easy process, so try to surround yourself with people that are positive, mentally uplifting, physically supportive, and empathetic. There are going to be naysayers, and this might not be as obvious as someone saying, you'll never make it into medical school, or maybe you should try XYZ instead because I don't think this is the right fit for you. It may be more subtle. Someone who says, or like when you're talking about your goals of getting into medical school, it's somebody who doesn't really engage back. Maybe they talk over you, they don't take you seriously, they make little comments that you realize later on are hurtful, maybe they joke about your goals. Those are the types of bad energy that you don't really want around you in this process. Try to surround yourself with positive people, people who are like, wow, that's impressive, or how can I help you reach this goal? Maybe they even like go get dinner for you, or babysit your kids, or watch your pets while you're going on interviews, or even better yet, they help you by reading over your personal statement or editing supplemental essays. Just make sure that you are around people that are going to support you through this process. I hope that this video helps you with navigating through the uncharted territory of the medical school application process. If you have any questions, please hit me up in the comments. Best of luck to you throughout this process. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you can get more content. And don't forget to share this video with anyone who is curious about medicine or about to go through the medical school application process themselves. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.